All right. Hey, Josh, thanks for joining me on the Flipping Junkie podcast.
Hey, Danny, what's going on? How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, great. Yeah. I'm glad to have you. Super interested to find out your story and, find out how you got into the business, got it going, and then help so many other people get into the business as well. So I'm super excited to hear that. Let's just start with what got you interested in real estate in the first place and just tell us your story, how you got into the business.
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting. I was a financial advisor coming out of college, right? So 21-year-old kid, got my Series 6, 66, 63, got my life and health license, and I thought I knew how to help people plan their financial future, even though I just barely had a few bucks to my name. But I took a liking to it, and I studied it. I was working probably 6 days a week, working 7, 8 in the morning until sometimes 10 o'clock at night, seeing clients in the evenings. And I noticed pretty quickly that I really enjoyed working with business owners and guys that had multiple needs, both their personal financial planning needs and their business needs. And they had lots of different, employee benefits and life insurance and retirement planning. But I noticed quickly with some of my most successful financial planning clients that they all owned real estate. And they own apartment buildings and single family rentals, and they own commercial buildings with restaurants in them. And I'm like, wow, like as I put together their sort of asset allocation and their financial plan, I noticed that they were mostly excited about their real estate investments, not their stock market investments. Yeah. So I took notice as a 23, 24, 25-year-old. I bought my first investment property, which was a 2-family rental at 24 years old. And I did it all backwards. I got it with an FHA loan. I paid full price. But I just jumped in, and I knew I wanted to be a landlord. And my mom thought I was nuts. She's like, you're 24, you just graduated. First of all, you're gonna buy a house, and second of all, you're gonna be a landlord. Like, what are you doing? But I loved it right away, man. And now that property, I still own it. It's nearly paid off. It'll pay for my kids' college education. And so, I just started buying real estate. And by 2004, I was kind of sick of my financial planning career, and I knew I wanted to be in real estate. So I just quit. I was managing $30 million of investment capital from my clients at the time. I just quit being a financial advisor and jumped into real estate full bore. Just literally quit, left about $150,000 a year business, clients behind, and just said, forget it, man. I love real estate. That's where my passion's at. I'm jumping in full time, and I'll just figure it out as I go.
Nice. So what was your plan? It sounds like you might not have had such a detailed plan, but how did you do it? Like, when you jumped in, like what were you doing?
Yeah. So I like a lot of people, I started going to boot camps. I started going to training programs, and I was talking to one of the speakers at the front of the room. And the Cleveland market was interesting at that time. I'm from Cleveland. And in 2000, 2001, there were about 8 big publicly traded companies that started leaving town. So like BP Oil moved to Chicago, and LTV Steel went bankrupt, and Boise Cascade and Office Max merged. And there were all these big companies leaving. So a lot of jobs left town. And so I started doing direct mail and postcards and letters and lumpy mail and all this stuff that I learned at these events. And all of the motivated seller leads that we were talking to, they all seemed like they had no equity or they were upside down. And so in 2004, I started looking at pre-foreclosures because it just seemed like every lead I got had no equity and they were upside down. So it was almost by accident. Not almost, it was by accident, Danny. It was totally by accident. But we just got really good at pre-foreclosures. So then I started like really learning about short sales and pre-foreclosures. This is about 3 or 4 years before the Great Recession actually happens. So we scale up really quickly. 2005, full-time. 2006, we ended up doing about 80 to 85 closed short sales. So we were essentially negotiating pre-foreclosures and wholesaling them to either owner-occupied buyers or other investor buyers. And we did $1 million of gross profits in our very first calendar year.
Wow.
And we started a software program. And then all of a sudden in 2006, I found myself as a keynote speaker at the Homevestors annual convention, talking about pre-foreclosures, and pre-foreclosures are coming and they got to be ready for these. And we're already experts at it. So it was totally by accident, no plan at all.
Yeah.
One of the things I'd pass along to our audience is you've got to pay attention to what your market needs. Most successful entrepreneurs, whether it's in real estate or in other forms of business, they find a problem and they make a business out of solving that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a business, a really big, fast real estate investing business out of solving a problem for homeowners who were already in pre-foreclosure.
Nice. Yeah. And that I was just thinking that too, when you're telling me those time frames, thinking that was before everybody else was talking about short sales. That was in the timing was perfect because things started to tank, after 2007, 2008. And then you already knew and had a plan in place. And to come to think of it, I think I have a book that you put out about short sales.
Yeah.
Black cover and about that thick.
I think I have that in my other office next door. Yeah. Short Sale Success Blueprint, man. That's like
it.
250 page. It was our entire standard operating procedure, all of our systems from marketing to negotiating to selling properties.
Mm-hmm.
We launched that book, and I'll never forget, Danny, we launched the book. We had a couple of affiliates promoting it, and we sold like 3,500 books in the first hour.
Wow.
And that was back in like 2007, 2008. So yeah, we took all that stuff that we learned by accident and actually put it into that book. So it's interesting that you still have a copy. That's awesome.
Yeah. I got it on my bookshelf. And, from time to time I look at it and say, well, I don't know, short sales is a little bit too much work. I'm not going to go back and read that again.
Yeah, they were a lot of work for sure. We don't do short sales either anymore.
Yeah. Well, people still do them, right? I mean, I think there's quite a few people still out there doing short sales.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that if you're going to do it, it has to kind of be the thing that you do, because it's not something that you really want to do like part-time or do just a couple of deals and negotiate with the banks. It is quite a work. It's a lot of phone work. It's a lot of people work. But you can get some massive discounts that way. The other thing is, Danny, they take a long time. It could take 3 to 9 months to successfully negotiate a deal. And in that, that period of time, you could do a million other deals and make more money. Yeah.
Well, if the market changes quite a bit, coming anytime soon, I'm sure that'll be a word that pops up a lot more again, with a different strategy. So, okay. So you did the short sales and grew and did an insane amount of business that first year. Where did it go from there? What did you do next?
Yeah, so we focused on that really from 2005 all the way to almost 2011, because then obviously the national recession happened and everybody seemed to be in pre-foreclosure. And we became sort of the national expert. We had software, we had training programs, we did several live events a year, all on pre-foreclosure investing and short sale investing, because all of a sudden by 2009, everybody else was seeing the same kind of deals that we saw, which was, hey, I have a house, it's worth 200, but I owe 300 on it. Or I have a house, I owe $1 million and it's only worth 650 in Arizona or Vegas or California. And so we became a national education company. We started teaching people in 2006, 2007. We founded Strategic Real Estate Coach. And we've been training people ever since for the last 11 years or 12 years or so. And then we had a great run. By 2011, though, the market for pre-foreclosures and short sales was different. The banks became really savvy on, counter negotiating short sales and added all kinds of suppressive language to being able to flip those properties. Mm-hmm. And I got really, really sick. In 2011, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and I had to take about 6 or 8 months away from work. And so that was the time for me to just totally step back, observe what was going on, partially because I had to, because I was in the hospital all the time. Then I came back out of that and, totally changed the way I invested and totally changed all my focus.
All right. So what did your focus move to at that point?
Yeah, Danny, it's interesting. Again, by accident, right? This is like the by accident podcast. in 2011, when I was diagnosed in September, I knew I was going to have surgery pretty quickly. I was diagnosed with stage 2 pancreatic cancer, and same exact diagnosis as Steve Jobs. So it was a slow growing type of pancreatic cancer, but for me, it was already, believe it or not, as big as a basketball inside of my stomach. It was massive. So I had to have surgery right away. And my surgeon said, like, look, there's some risk in this surgery. You know, there's this massive portal vein that comes right out of your heart, right down next to your pancreas. And so I'm going to have to operate around that. I'm going to have to take this out. I might have to take out, you know, your stomach, your gallbladder, your spleen, which they did. They took all that stuff out.
Wow.
And I had this surgery. I lost 50 pounds in 3 weeks. It was just insane. But what happened was, Danny, about 2 weeks before my surgery, I actually bought a couple of REOs. I raised about $200,000 of private money from people that I already knew, and they came in and funded with their self-directed IRAs and with cash. They funded these couple of rehab flips. Now, for about 4 months, Danny, I couldn't work at all. I couldn't really do anything. And we outsourced the improvements. We had a really good general contractor that took care of the rehab. And we ended up successfully flipping these properties. I mean, $35,000 on one and $42,000 on the other. And so by April 2012, when I came back from work, I flipped these 2 properties, and I only had seen them about 3 times each.
Nice.
And I thought to myself, I said, well, what if I could just do that again? Like, what if instead of doing 80 or 100 wholesale short sale deals at a time, what if I just focused on flipping like 4 or 6 houses a year and just focused on doing large profit deals, you know, 30, 50, 60 grand a piece. And I could kind of work part-time. I could kind of recover from this surgery, take care of my family. And that's what we did. In the next year, I did like 4, 6, 8, just large rehab deals. And I caught the bug, Danny, for raising private money. And being a former financial advisor and managing a lot of money, I understood what that meant. Hired a great SEC attorney. I understood what private placements were and Reg D and how does all that come together. And I just went bananas raising money, got an SEC exemption, a Reg D exemption, a private placement exemption. And all of a sudden what I decided to do was really just raise money, and then invest that with good operators, invest that with people who were good rehabbers, and I would get a percentage of those deals. So I didn't have to be the boots on the ground. I didn't have to do the rehab myself, but I would get between 30 to sometimes 70% of the deal by bringing in the capital. And, you know, we would find deals too, and we would go to the job. It's not like I was totally passive at it, but I just fell in love with raising money, Danny. And ever since then, since 2012, we've really been focused on private capital. Now we have multiple Reg D exemptions. We run a private equity fund. We have a $93 million portfolio. And so now we're primarily focused on raising capital and investing that capital with really good operators who are doing rehabs and apartment deals and cash flow deals.
Nice. Well, I like that. So when you first started raising that private money, what was your strategy to do that?
Yeah, so my SEC attorney came to me. His name is Joe Carney, and Joe said, listen, you know, a Reg D offering, typically you're going to start with a friends and family type of offer. So we started with a 506B Reg D offering, which was, you know, no general solicitation, basically raising money through referrals and through our network and people that we knew. But we had built a track record of, you know, wholesaling deals and just being a successful investor for, you know, now about 8 years. And so people trusted us. And they knew they could get a good return on their money, you know, 10, 12, 15, sometimes 20 or north of 20% return. And so they said, you know, hey, I want to diversify my portfolio. I'll invest X amount of dollars with Josh. And so we started doing a bunch of one-off deals, Danny, where we would just look at a deal, whether it was our deal or another operator, and we would connect the dots and bring in the capital. And then it got to the point where we had so much extra money in 2015, we started a private equity fund, so that we could pool all this money together and manage a fund, manage basically one business that then use that capital to invest in different kind of projects. And so today we're a really big private lender. We also invest in apartment deals as an equity investor in apartment deals. And we're managing about $25 million of equity cash in that $93 million portfolio. So it started as a friends and family offer, and we've since added a second and a third offering. And then we added a Reg D 506C offering, which allows us to do general solicitation and advertising, and put our offers out there to the world. So, it's really, Danny, the classic story of wholesaling, rehabbing, becoming a private lender, and then investing in commercial.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that want to go through that journey and they feel like they want to start with quick cash wholesale, that's exactly how we started. And we've gone through that life cycle, if you will, of an investor to the point where now we just focus on passive income and commercial and private lending.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that's the journey that typically people want to do because they don't want to wholesale for the rest of their life. It's
right.
So tell me about strategic real estate coach and how that works when somebody gets interested and they come in and say, hey, I want to get going with investing. What does that look like?
Yeah, great question, Danny. So Strategic Real Estate Coach was originally founded as a coaching company, Strategic Real Estate Coach. We love to coach people in our own local market. So in 2006, we started mentoring 10 guys in our own local market, and they had corporate jobs and accounting jobs, but they wanted to invest in real estate part-time. So we mentored these guys on the weekends and in the evenings. Well, then that grew into us doing some of our own events. And Strategic Real Estate Coach has gone through some different life cycles where we focus really on coaching. And then the business got really big. I mean, we at one point had 300,000 email subscribers. We were doing several large live events a year. We would have about 15,000 paying customers a year. And that was great. Huge business. But, I kind of felt like I lost touch with who I am at my core. At my core, I like to coach people. And so today what we focus on is we just have a couple of core coaching programs. We take investors either through a 60-day or 120-day or a 240-day live coaching program. It's a combination of group calls and one-on-one calls. And I love to coach investors between me and the other coaches that I have on my team. And so that's what we do. We don't really sell info products anymore. We don't do those home study courses. We've done that. We've sold millions and millions and millions of dollars of that stuff. But what we found, Danny, was the people that had real success, the people that had real staying power, are the people that had some sort of mentorship, accountability. And we knew that those people had the highest percentage chance of succeeding. So that's all we do today is coaching.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and that's big. And I'm glad to hear you talk about, you got this big thing and you said, oh, wait, I don't resonate anymore with what I'm doing. I'm not excited about this anymore. It's big. It's a lot of moving pieces, but I'm not excited with it. And it's taking a step back and looking at what really you enjoy and then doing it that way and finding that you really like to see people actually succeed and what does it take to let them do that. I'm interested to find out. So if you have a limited amount of people that you bring into this, because it is a lot of one-on-one kind of thing, how do you screen people? Who are the people that get into this kind of thing?
Yeah, so we run through an application process and we look for really three things. We look for time, like how much time can they spend? And one of the critical factors we've learned, Danny, and again, working with thousands, tens of thousands of investors is, do they have the time? And do they have a realistic time frame for their success? Okay? The people that are like, I want to do $1 million in my first 3 months. Great, love your ambition. But let's talk about realistic timeframes here. So time, that's the first thing. So when they fill out this application, we ask them about their time. Secondly, is their motivation, is their why, like their reasons for being successful. What's their motivation? Is it maybe retiring their parents that are getting older? Is it taking care of their kids who need to go to college? Is it maybe they're, a single mom and they want to, provide for their kids in a certain way? Maybe it's a business owner. We have a lot of successful 45 to 70-year-olds that are already successful. They're just sick of the corporate grind. So what's their motivation? And the last piece is obviously money. We prefer to work with people who are in that 45 to 70-year-old sort of avatar who have some resources. Now, I know that you can do this business. I did this business with no money when I started.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know, again, that the people that are looking to build a big portfolio, whether it's rentals or apartment buildings or being a private lender, we look to work with some people that have some of that flexibility, that have some money, that have the ability to whether it's credit, whether it's income. We've done this business with no income, no credit, but I come from the financial planning world. I'm used to working with business owners that are fairly well off, and I just personally resonate with those people. So that's who I like to coach, because that's who I've been around for the last 22 years. And so we're looking for people that have some money. Now, we do work with people who are coming in with limited resources. We just want to make sure that their time and their motivation lines up with their resources. So we got to make sure that that's congruent. So we have a simple application process, and we walk people through that to make sure that their expectations meet up with their time, their money, and their motivation goals.
Yeah, I like that. So what do people typically experience? They go through the application process. You find that they hit all those things, and they come into coaching. What is it like? When they get started, how does the progress happen? Tell me as much as you can about it.
Sure. Yeah. So, Danny, so they go through an onboarding call with one of our administrative team to make sure that they understand exactly what they're getting. And what we do in our coaching program is I personally deliver 4 live coaching calls a week. So these are small group calls with all of our members. Monday is focused on marketing, motivation, and wholesaling. It's all about quick cash on Monday. Tuesday is all about rehabbing and private money, really focused on raising capital. We skip Wednesday. We take Wednesdays off. Thursdays is all about passive cash flow and exit strategies. And Fridays is all about systems and automation. It's all about using a CRM or some sort of software to automate and grow and scale the business. And so I personally teach those. We answer live questions. We handle the calls in a live setting. In addition, our coaching students get one of my certified coaches. Now, I have 6 coaches that I've personally mentored. These are guys that I've known for 5 and 8 and 10 years that are literally former students of mine who've grown up in the business and are very successful, and they want to kind of give back. It's their way to kind of pay it forward. Of course, I pay them, but they don't make nearly as much money coaching as they could doing deals. So they like to do this a couple hours a week, and I require that our coaches are full-time real estate investors and part-time coaches. So they do one-on-one calls with our students. So they, again, figure out what's their motivation, where are they at today, and where do they want to go. And we put together a strategic investing plan with them to take them from where they are now to where they want to go. And one of the things we do, Danny, that's a little bit different is we actually warranty that if somebody signs up for a 60-day program, if they don't do a deal in that first 60 days, we warranty that we're going to give them another 60 days of coaching for free to make sure that they now have double the time to do that first deal. And then we have a 120-day program and then a 240-day program, depending on the level of commitment that the student wants to put into it and how much time they have. So that's the process that they go through. And there's all kind of other bells and whistles and things, but we feel like those people that have the most success are people that commit to a curriculum. It's just like if you want to be a doctor, you commit to 10 years of schooling to become a surgeon, right? Well, you're not going to be as successful as you want to be by just catching, one-off webinars or a home study course. Or podcasts are fantastic. You can listen to a million good podcasts like yours, Danny. But what we feel is people need a curriculum, a specific step-by-step process, and that's what we walk them through.
Yeah, so they focused on what they need right now and not thinking in terms of all this stuff that they're not even, where they would need that information. So keep them focused and taking action. What are you guys doing to kind of hold people accountable to take action?
Yeah, so, and this is where the one-on-one coaching comes in with their coach. So their coach meets with them typically every other week, and it's a one-on-one call for 30 minutes to 60 minutes. And that call is not really about teaching the student new investing strategies. That's not what it's about. The group calls that I do and the curriculum that we have, the video training that we have, that is about learning the technique, okay? Learning the actual process of investing, getting the money, signing the contracts, making offers, finding deals. That's what that's for. The one-on-one calls, that's all about accountability. It's about what did you get done this past week, and what are we going to do in the next week or 2 weeks? We create usually 5 goals for our student, and 2 weeks later, guess what? We're getting back together with a coach, and you better have your 5 things done.
Yeah.
Or we're going to beat you up a little bit, right? You know, I've had a bunch of great coaches in my life, Danny. My football coaches in high school and college. I've had a lot of great mentors. The best mentors are typically the people who are tough on us, right? The people that don't let us get away with things. The people that don't say, oh, you know, I wanted to make these offers, but I just didn't have time. I wanted to raise $250,000 of private money, but I didn't reach out to my network. I wanted to launch this property through a property launch, but I was too lazy. I just threw it on the MLS.
Yeah.
That doesn't work with us.
Yeah. Don't tell me what you wanted to do. Tell me what you did.
Right. Here. So most people don't know what they need to do, right? So they need an experienced coach or a mentor that says, this is exactly what it's going to take to be successful. That's what I do. That's what our coaches do. That's what we focus on, is giving them a 2-week plan. And in 2 weeks, you better come back with that stuff done, because it's about, Danny, look, it's about the habits, right? We are what we consistently do, right? So if you're consistently have great habits of making offers, raising money, evaluating deals, raising money, finding deals and finding money, and you have good habits around that, you will be successful, period, the end. So really the coaching, the one-on-one is about cementing those habits.
So you find people that come in, you know, I guess with your avatar, the people that you like to bring in for the coaching, you know, maybe have overcome some of these things that maybe in the beginning you didn't weed people out enough, where they've got the issue of belief that they can do it, or, you know, have this fear of taking action and doing things. Do you still come across people, even though you do filter, you know, the applicants pretty good? And how do you deal with that kind of thing? Because I know a lot of people listening are getting into the business and they're struggling with that stuff. You know, they're struggling with, you know, fear of making a mistake and not knowing what to do. You know, how do you help people with those kinds of issues?
Yeah, great question. Let me be honest here. It is virtually impossible in an interview process to know everything about the applicant. It's just like interviewing for a job, right? A lot of times people will tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
So when we go through that process, it's interesting. We've had, for example, coaching student, his name is Mark Carmona. Mark ran basically a homeless shelter down in the San Antonio market with 2,800 residents and people and staff under his care, okay, under his direction. Mark is in this nonprofit world for 27 years, and Mark's like, okay, I've contributed to this, I love it, but I'm ready for the next thing. You would think a guy that knows how to run a massive organization all over the city of San Antonio knows how to invest in real estate or knows how to run a business. Simply not true. I mean, he's worked his butt off and has learned amazing things. He's done tons of deals, but again, he didn't really know a whole lot. So he's really starting from square one, just like everybody else. So really, again, that's why we're not really looking for people that have a lot of real estate knowledge. What we're looking for is the people that have the time, the motivation, and a little bit of money, a little bit of resources, because we can teach them the strategy. We can teach them the technique as long as they have time and they have motivation and a little bit of resources. We can teach them to be successful. So we have to customize the program, Danny, for just about everybody we come across. That's why this program is, you know, it's not cheap, but it's also not super expensive. Like you see some of these other crazy programs people are selling. It's about the cost of one wholesale deal. That gives you an idea of some of the different programs that we have. But we want people to come in with some skin in the game, come in with time and motivation, because we can teach them the technique as long as they have the right mindset and they have good reasons why they want to do this, right? Mark Carmona had great reasons. He had already given back. He had already given back to his community, and he was ready for the next thing.
Yeah. Awesome. And if anybody's interested in looking into that some more, where should they go to find out more about your coaching?
Yeah, so the application is at joshcantwellcoaching.com. That's where you fill out the application. Again, it's free to apply. It's free to learn more. It's a 2-step interview process. So we get on the phone, we kind of interview them in step 1, and then step 2, if they're a fit, we'll come back with some opportunities and some recommendations.
Nice. Great. And I'm not affiliated in any way, but Josh, I've got your book from way back when and wanted to have you on the podcast, and I'll be on your podcast too. So if you want to tell people about your podcast, they can check out the interview that we do also.
Yeah, you bet, Danny. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. And yeah, you have to, after this is over, we're done recording this, you have to go find that black book and text me a picture of it.
Yeah. I'll go home, and it's at my house. So
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So let's see. Do you have any other book that you've been reading lately or anything you want to share with the audience that you've gotten a lot out of?
Yeah. Actually, I got into this book, Extreme Ownership, by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And, it's an amazing account of their journey as Navy SEALs, fighting the Battle of Ramadi, which was an insurgent stronghold in Iraq back in 2006. But the business lessons that come out of this book are amazing. And they have a second book, which a lot of people don't know about. It's called The Dichotomy of Leadership. And The Dichotomy of Leadership, I thought, was equally as good. And that book is really about being a leader, being a CEO, or being a leader in anything, whether it's at home, whether it's in your corporate business or whatever it is. It's the dichotomy, the balance of, mentoring people, leading people, pushing them, and also loving them, right? It's the combination of, raising people up, leading them to the next step, and having tough love at sometimes, the dichotomy of how hard it is sometimes to get that right. How hard it is sometimes as a father to be tough on my kids at sometimes and then lead them and love them at other times, right? So the books are all about leadership. I've gotten a ton out of those books.
Great. No, that's awesome. And I didn't know about that second book. I'm going to have to order that, add it to my stack of books next to my nightstand there.
Yeah, you bet.
Actually, it filled up my nightstand. It's like the stack on the nightstand, everything in it. And now it's like constantly prioritizing like what comes next. And anyway,
yeah,
that'll probably never end. Awesome. Well, I enjoyed talking with you and finding more about Strategic Real Estate Coach and everything you've been doing. It sounds like an amazing life and journey in real estate and everything that you've done. So thanks a lot for being on.
Hey, Danny, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.